Welcome to English and Grow. Today's topic is the pharmacy. So let's dive into it. What about these words? Do you know what an ointment is? Do you know what it is to gargle? Do you know that you can have a mortar with a pestle? Let's study this. So, in the Middle Ages, the longevity was not very long. And if you needed to go to the apothecary, maybe he would have a lot of jars with herbs in them. And maybe he would even have magnifying glass, he or she. And they would prepare something in a mortar with a pestle for you, maybe ointment, so you can rub it onto your skin, and they would measure it on scales to get the right doses of the components. So the ointment is something like a cream which you can rub onto your skin, and gargle is something like a mouthwash that you put in your mouth. It's a liquid, but you do not swallow it. Let's study other products. So back then, you could also drink some medicinal drink, and that would be called a potion. Might be a magic potion. Why not? And you might wonder, how come I have sponge soaked in alcohol in here? So back then they didn't have painkillers, and if they needed to do some severe surgery, like imagine having a tooth taken out back then, so you would need this kind of what do you call it, painkiller, primitive painkiller, to release to reduce your pain at least a little bit. Now, there were other fascinating treatments. So, if you got burned, they would recommend that you get some snail slime. And this actually has fantastic properties, which is even used today. And what about ladies when they were menstruating, which was not that often as we experience it these days? Or what about soldiers that were wounded in a war? So, they would actually use a moss to catch the flow of the blood. And what about now? So nowadays, when you go to the pharmacy or to the chemist, you can find a different variety of products. So if you are worried that you should be slimmer, you can buy yourself some capsules to deal with your weight loss. If you are an elderly person or if you have a baby, you need to go for diapers, and it's also practical to buy some wet wipes. Now, if you experience pain, either headache or chest pain or whatever pain, you can go for painkillers. And if it is for kids, it is preferred to have an oral suspension. That means it is liquid. And the oral suspension comes with a dosing syringe, but syringe might also be used for other purposes, to inject some special substance into your body. And a lot of people have a severe phobia out of syringes. Now, what do we have here? So, for ladies, if they do not want to start a family yet, they might need contraceptive pills. But I believe in the more traditional style of dealing how many babies you have, but it's everyone's choice, of course. Now, for ladies, for women's hygiene, you can have a menstrual cup, you can have a tampon, no moss anymore, or, and this is the most traditional way, it is the sanitary towels. What about for gentlemen? So, erectile dysfunction is something that some men experience due to being overwhelmed and being too stressed out, but it doesn't end there. It's also hair loss that can actually affect ladies as well. And you call this phenomena receding hair, or you become bald. Now, what about in the next slide? So, maybe you have an allergy, and this might be hay fever. It also might be a different kind of allergy, and maybe you need ointment for the rash which shows up on your skin, or eye drops, or nasal spray. Now, if you have a sore throat, the best is not just to gargle, but also to to chew on some lozenges. I personally love that. And I, as a teacher, when my voice goes kind of coarse, I like to have a bunch of lozenges at hand. Now, something disgusting, but that's actually kind of frequent. You can have a little ulcer in your mouth. It looks like this. And the way to treat it is gargle. Sup- Suppository is something that you insert in your anus, and that's to treat hemorrhoids or constipation or diarrhea. And you can also have vaginal suppositories. The next slide shows warts. So I don't know if you have ever had that on your skin, but I had that on my hand, and I was happy that the gel was working because they say that the warts they like to start a family, and that doesn't really look very nice. So I was happy the gel removed all the warts. Now, women usually experience stretch marks during pregnancy, and you can buy yourself a moisturizing cream to deal with that. But they stay and they are a sign of beauty, I would say. Now, what about insomnia? So, if you struggle with your sleep, sometimes it is not necessary to take sleeping pills, but you need to use earplugs because someone next to you is snoring really hard. So, what have you learned? Do you know what a syringe is? Do you know what a suppository is? Do you know what a wart is and earplugs? This is it. If you like my comment, if you like my content, please comment, like, and subscribe. And most importantly, support me on my Patreon, English and Grow. And remember, if you ever struggle, because life is sometimes also a struggle, remember, every breath is a new beginning, and I promise I will remind myself of the same as well.